That's our test.
Okay.
Okay, so this, I have to turn the volume down on this.
Good morning, Mark here.
Get rid of that. Okay. I think you're all right now. If you're not, you're gonna have to reflip it. Right, so there's a line across.
It doesn't have a line across it.
It doesn't?
I don't see one. It just says Mark Rivers.
Below it, it'll come up. Just don't touch anything. That's it. It's the only advice I have for you.
It's up there.
Yeah, that's not, just leave it like that. What does it say next to it?
There's something next to it that's red with an arrow through it.
Oh, don't even worry about that. Wait till he starts talking, and if he doesn't, we'll figure it out. He's not talking yet.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
Can you guys
Where are
hear me?
you? Yeah, where are you now, John? Where are you? I mean, Mark, I'm sorry.
I can't hear you. There we go.
Where are you, Mark?
Right now I'm in Fort Myers, Florida.
Well, there's a wall there. Look at that.
Yep.
He's in Florida.
I was wondering, like the Red Sox, I used to go to that area a lot when I was a kid, and the Red Sox built a stadium. They weren't there anymore, but they had built a fairly new stadium there, which I assume is leveled. Is that correct? I just think that the other day.
No, they actually have a beautiful stadium there, and they do their spring training down here.
And is it still there?
Oh yeah, I think it's relatively new.
And it didn't get blown away by the hurricane, I mean.
No, it looks pretty substantial.
All right, well, okay. Good. It's the best thing about the Red Sox. They aren't there and it's substantial.
town hall, we're still waiting, they're still muted, but they're there at least, until the generator kicks in.
Mission control up there. Looks like they've got a hold on the blast off, I think.
I don't think it said that he was in Florida on the email.
I'm in trouble.
Use separate audio device to play.
We don't need ringtones.
Okay, so we're gonna go back and undo it. Because we had it working before, right?
Right.
We do hear you guys, town hall.
You
For
can
what
hear
that's
us?
worth. Yes, we can.
Oh, we asked you before and you didn't answer, so we thought you still couldn't.
I don't think we could. Now we can.
Cool. Whatever you did,
Well, that's
Becky,
why
you did
All
it.
right, so it was that, hopefully the last one.
Microphone array.
Okay, sorry, it took a bit. It was, Catherine's got a new computer. We did all the setup part right, Mark.
Excellent.
But
Well, thank you, Becky. That was great.
have a great meeting, guys.
Thank you.
There is still a microphone like with a slash through it on the town hall website coming, at least to me. I assume to everybody, for what that's
Yeah.
worth.
It's coming to you.
You see it here too. Yeah.
Don't touch it. Till they tell you.
Catherine's balancing that on her head.
So that means we are going through your computer. We'll get it next time.
All right. I don't even know what that means. More people to admit.
I'll let you look at this later.
All right, guys.
Okay, thanks, Becky.
It's all working?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, Mark, over to you.
All right, sounds good.
Town hall.
Can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes.
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 So far we have 6 people on, so we have a quorum that I can see. The 3 people at the town hall, Howard, John, and Catherine are at the town hall.
I don't.
Is there anybody else that we need to admit to the meeting?
Walter.
Is Walter here? Okay.
What about us?
Oh, John, yeah, you were there, John. Got you, John.
Hold on, I'm moving.
I'm
Okay.
just gonna move this back a little bit so I
Yeah.
get everybody.
Yeah, good. Although the owl should follow us theoretically.
Someone has to mute here. We're hearing lots of background conversation and so forth. At least I am.
Are you now?
I don't hear a thing.
What's that red thing up there? You not
I
talking.
don't know. Don't ask.
And Miriam is on as a guest, I can see.
Morning.
Who are you? Okay, why don't we get started? Up here with everybody. A little after 9. So, thank you all for joining us today. The first item on our agenda is to review and approve, or review and comment, discuss the minutes of the October 15th meeting. Did everybody have a chance to look at it, or you want to take a few minutes and look at it now?
I read it at home. I did too. Didn't print it.
Yeah, I didn't bring any copies with me. I apologize.
Sorry.
Maybe we should ask if there's anybody who has any recommendations to offer. And if not, we could just go ahead and vote.
Okay. Any changes that anyone noticed? And if not, can we have a proposal to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so assume that there's no negatives, or is there any negative, anyone voting negative? Okay, so we're gonna say everyone voted fine and positive. Minutes were approved. Okay, second item on our agenda is the continue our discussion on stormwater runoff and erosion situation conditions. And so I have an update from FERCog. At our last meeting, they mentioned that they had run out of funding, or their funds had got diverted to something else, some Freedom of Information Act request. But they now have new funding from the Department of the Environment, Mass DOE, Department of Environmental Protection, DEP. And they've got the funding back in place, and they just have to sign a new contract with DEP that they hope will happen relatively soon.
Stay there, don't move.
And then once that, they will finish up their work and start getting public comment. So it's ongoing, and so this proposal basically is to get money from a 319 grant. And so they're writing the proposal for us. Any comments or questions?
Miriam has her hand up there.
Oh, okay, Miriam, go ahead.
Thanks. One was just, I'm having a little trouble hearing and I have the volume turned up as loud as I can. I don't know if Mark, if there's anything you can do on your end to, I don't know if any other people are having that. It's just a little hard to hear, but I was confused because from conversations I had with the FERCog planning department, what they had described was that they were not actually doing the application, that they were doing kind of a study or a feasibility investigation, but it wasn't an actual application. Can you just clarify that?
You could be right, but I was under the impression it was they were working on the application, and they had hired consultants to write a report on the current situation around the lake. And that had been completed, although I haven't seen it, but that'll be part of the application. So you might be entirely right, and I just don't know. I can check with them. I will check with them.
So I had that draft that got circulated back in like September, I think it was. I had spoken, was it Tamsin?
Yep, Tamsin.
Yeah, so I had spoken with Tamsin about it because I was wanting to look at the draft, and somebody did, I think she sent me a draft, but said it was not complete because they had hired an environmental firm to do, maybe you guys have already discussed, and I'm just repeating, you already know this about the environmental firm?
Well, maybe it's a different one.
So they had hired, this consulting engineer to do an assessment, and she said that they were not satisfied with the work that was done. They didn't feel the proposals and the suggestions were comprehensive enough, and so she said they were going to have to go back to the drawing board and hire a new engineering firm to do a new analysis because they didn't feel the draft was sufficient. That's what she told. I haven't talked with her since September, but that's what I heard then.
I'm not sure what to say. I emailed with her regularly, and she never mentioned this. But again, you may be right, and she's just brief in her responses to me. So I get I can look into that also, but I guess from my perspective, the important thing is it seems to be still going. They didn't give up on it. But we're gonna get something from them.
Yeah.
Which I hope ends up being a plan, a watershed-based plan that, tells us what needs to be done around the lake. And that was the original intent, to give us a plan that what needs to be done so that we can incrementally or grand scale work on the runoff situation.
Yeah, that was my understanding, is that they were doing the plan, they weren't doing the application itself. So if the plan was going to be the basis for the application, the application would, and I think you'll miss the or may have already missed the funding cycle for this coming year. So it would have to be like the following year.
Yeah, that might be the case. It's been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments about the erosion situation? I think from my perspective, I think, the people are doing things ahead of, in advance of it. So there's situations already, at least on one side of our lake, it's significantly better than it was 3 years ago. So progress is being made, even though we don't have an official plan. Okay, let's go on to agenda item 3. That's okay with everybody? And that's we're talking about the voting safety sign. And Catherine was going to a couple of mock-ups, I guess.
I did one, Mark, and then I neglected to load it onto the laptop, so I don't have it. The 3, I can tell you now that the 3 instructions that have been asked for fit very nicely, and they look good, and I'll bring them next time, or even send them around when I'm at my computer at home. But I don't have it available here. Sorry.
I think we have a good plan for installing them. It's going to be attached to the kiosk, clearly visible if you're backing your boat down. I got a question on the budget cycle. To get it into this year's budget, and as opposed to rolling out next year's budget, when do we have to have it done by? Does anyone have a sense?
Mark, I didn't understand you just now. You're kind of garbled.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Probably my internet connection here is probably not that well. So my question is, it'd be nice to get it into this year's budget cycle, so that we can save the money, our limited budget for water testing or whatever comes up next year. And my question is, what's the deadline for completing it so it's in this year's budget?
June 30th.
Your town budget? What budget are you speaking of? Town budget?
Yep.
Yeah, June 30. We're in this year now.
Okay. So as long as we're,
July 31st to June 3rd.
so as long as we finish, get everything done by June, in the springtime, we'll be okay.
Right, and that's when we want to install it anyway, right?
Yep, that's correct.
How much money are we talking about? We're not talking about a lot of money here, are we?
I think it's about $75.
Yeah, my guess is that if we don't have the money, I suspect the finance committee's reserve funds would have the money or whatever. That's doable.
We
Okay,
have the
then.
money in our budget line.
Okay, cool,
Easily.
good. Okay, good.
Right. Any more discussion on the signs for voting safety?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Thanks. So I just wanted to follow up on the conversation with the Conservation Commission, because the signage needs to be approved by the Conservation Commission. And I don't think we voted on it, did we? I don't recall. We discussed it. Penny Jakes raised concerns because she said that there was a previous agreement about not having multiple signs put up in the parking lot, and sort of designating part of the kiosk for Conservation Commission signage and LWAC signage. And I don't know when that agreement was put in place, but I think we still need to vote on the signage. We still need to vote on it, I believe. If it's
Okay.
not gonna be on the kiosk, well, even if it's gonna be on the kiosk, because there's some plans for some trail conservation area trail information to be eventually put up on that kiosk. So we need to figure out, how much space to designate for different things. So I just would suggest that, once you get the language settled, that you bring it to the Concom for us to review and vote on. I'm sure we'll approve it, but there might want to be some discussion.
Question, are you voting on the wording of the sign or the fact of the size and where the signs are going to go?
Well, probably both, because it's going on, that's part of the conservation area that's under Concom management. So signage that goes up on those parcels is subject to Concom approval. We manage those properties. So I'm just saying it should go through the Concom once you've made recommendations. Maybe come to put it on the agenda and have Mark come or somebody to discuss I think it's already been discussed, but just to give us a draft of the signage, the final language, and where exactly it's going to be going. I think that previous discussions back in the day, from what I hear from Penny Jakes, is that there was a concern that there were too many, that things were getting confusing, that there were too many signs up, or it was looking cluttered. And so there was a desire to kind of consolidate where signs go and not have a lot of different signs in different locations. But Penny could probably speak to that better than me, because this was before my time. But just out of an abundance of respect for that process, I think we would just want to have it go through the Concom for a final approval.
All right, so how about this for a plan? We will circulate and get a final approval from LWAC to make sure everyone's on board for the signage. And then we'll send it off to Concom.
He's in a meeting, a Zoom meeting right now, so he can call you after it's over. It's over by 10, I think. All right. All right. Bye.
John, I think you need to mute.
All right, so did you guys catch me on that? Was I clear enough?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So is everybody okay with that approach? Okay.
Mark, I think we probably lost the group at Town Hall. Looks like they're just coming back on now. I think we lost them, so they might have missed all that part there.
Okay, okay, so it's my first time being on the other side of the fence here. The generator comes on.
Did it happen again? So they were all connected together.
Evidently. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Can't see you.
I'll try to find the video. Jeez, I hate this.
Not much, it's not much to see here.
Yeah, it's just us. Okay,
There
here we
you
are.
go.
All right.
All right, so I'll just back up a bit. I think the plan is to approve it, have LWAC approve it at the next meeting. And then after that, I'll send it off to Concom and get on their agenda. And then we can finalize this. That's okay with everybody. If that makes sense to everybody.
We're talking about the proposed sign?
Yep.
All right, I'll send that to you. I'll send that to the whole group so that we can see it, but we've already approved the language from our point of view, right? So we can go straight on to LWAC, right?
Straight on to Concom.
I thought you said LWAC first and then Concom.
Yeah, I think LDOT first, yes. So that's the plan, next meeting, and then on to Concom. We have plenty of time. Okay, good. Is that it? Are we done with that discussion? Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the safety access. It's a dam, and is there any update on activities with that?
There is an activity in the sense that we, the select board, appointed a committee at the select board meeting, I believe it was on November 9th. That included abutters. And we were then told, well, when we ran it sort of all by the town clerk and eventually the town council said, you can't have abutters on the committee. We wanted to have abutters on the committee so we would include their points of view, but because they're abutters, they can't be on the committee because of, conflict of interest laws and so forth. You can't be in a committee that's making a decision about land that you're affected by, basically. And
they can't be members.
Right. So basically, as far as I know, here's the plan. I sent out a letter yesterday to the people that that was the committee, which not everyone will be on the committee, but at our next select board meeting, which is this coming Tuesday night, we'll have to disband that committee and then appoint the committee again without the abutters. The letter I sent out basically explained the idea of having the abutters on the committee was so the abutters could give us their views, because literally they're going to have to look out the window and see what our views are. So they were good intentions, but again, not legal. So the idea is that the abutters would still be able to voice their opinions and so forth. That they are open meetings. They voice their opinions and whatever. They just can't vote. I don't know if that's clear to everybody, but that's where we're at right now. So that, assuming that all happens at the select board meeting on Tuesday, we are scheduling, I think, the first meeting for, I think we decided January. I think we decided we're just going to skip the whole holiday thing. And I know one of the abutters is away for most of that time. We wanted to really hear from them. So I just decided to start January. The charge, by the way, of the committee is that we will give the select board and or the town meeting recommendations by the end of January. Now, my thought was that if we shouldn't be that complicated a thing, famous last words. So anyway, it seemed like January would give us plenty of time to have a few meetings and get it done by the end of January.
So that sounds good. So should we have sort of an informal approach to notifying the abutters when the select board is meeting or when these discussions are coming up with various groups?
Yeah, we can do that. They got the letter yesterday, which said that we're going to schedule the first meeting for 1/4/23.
Okay.
We can do that again. I'm glad to do that. That's not a bad idea. And it's all on the town website, because there will be posted meetings. But absolutely, I think that's a good plan.
And also those butters and anybody else can arrange to get notifications of meetings as soon as they're posted for the particular committees that they're interested in.
True. I'm not sure how it'll be posted, frankly, since we're a subcommittee of the select board. It may be posted as a select board meeting. I'm not sure what the legal deal is there. I can't remember with the fire chief committee, which I was on, which I was also select board. I can't remember. I think as often was posted as a select board meeting, which it is, but it isn't, kind of thing.
Do you think that John and Howard Kinder will, because they're not abutters, will be part of the meeting, part of the committee?
Yes.
And so maybe we could pass those two guys to notify, keep everybody in the loop, all the abutters in the loop.
Sure, that would be fine with me. I'm glad to do it as well.
Couldn't understand that one, Mark. What are you asking?
I'm asking that you guys keep the abutters in the loop.
Oh, yeah, I think also it's imperative that one of the abutters, Zaharua, very much has to be involved because there's a major portion of this is the access to the dam and the property line situation and what's going to happen there.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's a classic example of why they can't be on the committee. He's like, you can't be on the committee deciding whether or not to buy the land or whatever, if in fact you're going to be putting the money in your pocket as a result of the decision the committee makes. That's the classic case of the conflict of interest laws that I mentioned.
So Eric, will you make sure Zaharua, well, I mean, if we see him, we'll mention
So
something.
I have Ryan's.
You have Ryan, something? Okay.
Ryan's phone.
All right.
Yeah, I'm glad to do it. I mean, or we could all do it, but I'm glad to do it. I'll certainly notify them. Sure. I know Glenn Stockman is one of the Stockton it is, I guess. I'm sorry. Who's one of the abutters is away until the end of January. That's why I decided to have the meetings start in January, just so make sure that because he's the one who's going to wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and look over look at the dam. So if we decided to put up a chain link fence, or I'm not saying we will, but if we did, he's the one who'd have to look at it most prominently. So I want to make sure he's there.
Okay.
As long as he's there.
Any other comments or discussions on this item? Eric, thank you very much for taking sort of the lead in this.
Let's see what happens. I mean, I just know this issue has been addressed before, and it just kind of ends in it's too complicated and all that. I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. We actually decide something and do something.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is a discussion of dam, maintenance and repairs. I'm going to ask Walter if he's had a chance to touch base with Morris Root yet.
Well, I had not gotten a hold of him by phone, but I did just get an email from him late Thursday. Didn't get a chance to call him back yesterday morning. He's gone for the weekend, but I printed out his email and it reads just as such. Good morning, Walter. Hope you have been healing well from your tree cutting catastrophe. I was optimistic I would complete the Lake Wyola report before early December. Meanwhile, the Office of Dam Safety decided to harass 2 other clients about emergency action plans due at the end of December. These are EAPs for significant hazard dams that did not have EAPs on file. On the other hand, you may have seen a letter reminding dam owners of required inspections with a request to submit reports by the end of January. I notified Office of Dam Safety the visual inspection has been completed and the report will be submitted as requested. That said, do you want to nail down a January date for meeting with LWAC? Mid-January would be best for me. I understand they want to discuss materials and techniques for do-it-yourself maintenance, as well as other remedial work. Call me at your convenience to discuss. I am in the office today and tomorrow morning, off over the weekend for my wife's youngest brother's memorial. So I was going to fire back an email saying, Morris, it's obvious that you are totally overwhelmed with work. I just went back and looked. This report that he's writing, I believe, was for the inspection done in 2020. That's when, if they are due every 2 years, The last one I had in my records here at home was 2016, so that would be 2018, 2020. It also means that we're due for an inspection this year. Should have been done in November. So if he hasn't even gotten the inspection report from 2 years ago done, and we need another inspection, and he's not going to have the report done till sometime in January, I think he's too overwhelmed or whatever to be able to deal with us. As we discussed, it might be time to see if he'd like to drop us as a client and we go with somebody else. I know that discussion of who it should be and all that really needs to come from the select board. But before I was going to send the email out, and I said, you know, I better wait till I talk to the rest of the committee before I speak for all of us. But I mean, as much as I like the guy and all that, and I get along well with him, I do think that we are just small fish in the big pond, and he's got other things that are taking too much of his time. And, you know, we're not getting what we need out of him, especially if we need another inspection already, and it's past time to do that. If we wait too long, even for him to come up in January, I mean, what are we going to be able to look at? You know, the dam's possibly going to be covered with, you know, a couple feet of snow. You know, he's supposed to have been up here meeting with us, what started back in May or June, and now it's off till January. Personally, I think it's time that we look for somebody else, because we are going to be getting so far behind the 8 ball just because he's behind on his work that, you know, nobody's going to be happy and we're going to be in trouble.
Well, that's been the case from the get-go.
From the get-go, yeah. But I mean, this seems to be getting worse and worse. And now that he's out in upstate New York, I mean, it used to be just a couple hours for him to get here. Now it's, you know, a 3 or 4 hour trip for him to get down here, which has been a problem when he says he's going to come down and something came up and, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I think it's time that we officially, whether the town wants to write him a letter, which I think might be better coming from the town because they hire him, or I could just simply ask him, would he be, you know, feel better if we lighten his load by, you know, just having him finish the report, and then we'll have somebody else do the inspection.
Well, Walter, I think probably the first thing that should happen is we should look around for somebody else, because this may be a moot point. And if there is somebody locally available, then we could perhaps find out if they'd be willing to take us on as a client, then it would make more sense to then say to Morris, there is somebody locally and he would be happy to take it on.
Well, there's 2 companies that I know can do this. I mean, they've created EAPs. The company that did the last dam inspection for the Ames Pond was Fuss and O'Neill. And I know the town has used Fuss and O'Neill before for different things. And then there's
We're using them now for lot 032, just so that you know that.
right. And then there is another one that did the EAP for the Atkins Reservoir, and their name escapes me. They're kind of local, more local too. We could contact them and see if they're willing to do that.
There's also GZA is doing the dam reports for the Dudley Pond.
Okay, I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, they're GZA Environmentals down in Springfield.
Okay. So there are other companies. I guess it would be best for the town then to, you know, investigate this and see if there's somebody else that would take us on before we tell Morris it's probably time to part. Like I say, I like the guy, I get along with him, and all that, but maybe because of that relationship, he's abusing it a little bit more. And, you know, it seems like this has been a constant battle, like I say, Kat, forever with him. He's always been behind on stuff, but I feel that it's a lot worse now than it has been before. So my personal recommendation would be that the town see if there's another company, either Fuss and O'Neill or whoever that would be willing to do this and can do it in a timely manner. And then, you know, have Morris finish up the reports that he's due to us and Office of Dam Safety, and then just let them know that we have somebody else to do the next inspections. That's just my recommendation.
Technically speaking, doesn't the select board, I mean, that's, the select board would have to
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's
fire
what I'm
him,
saying.
if you will. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's up to the town, up to the select
Yeah.
board to make that decision. It's just, as the person that's been dealing with Morris, it would be my suggestion to the select board, to this committee, and then to the select board, that
Right.
we investigate whether there's another company that would actually be able to and be willing to do the dam inspections and the reports and all that, and go from there. Again, I'm speaking only as a member of this committee. I'm no longer the emergency management director or anything, have any kind of really pull and say in it, other than the person that's been doing it for the last, I don't know how many years. Is that it's just been a constant battle with Morris to get this stuff done. He does great work. It's just because he does such good work, he's in such high demand. He's got way too many clients for him to handle himself. And he's doing nothing but getting closer and closer to retirement age. So that would just be my recommendation.
So do we need a vote from this board to recommend to the select board that we change inspector?
I think that would be a good idea. And then get it on a a select board agenda. And, probably Walter, you might testify or whatever, however you want to call it, but just sort of explain the situation.
Yep.
Okay, well, I move that this committee recommend to the select board that we seek a new dam inspector and create a new relationship with someone more local.
I'll second that.
So can we have a vote for everybody? Eric, your thoughts?
No, I think that's a good idea. I would vote yes.
John?
Yes.
No.
John Boy,
Oh,
John Celeste.
All right. Walter said yes, we're assuming.
Yep. Now, for legalities here, I just want to double check. Am I still a voting member of this committee or not?
You are, as far as I
Okay.
know.
All right.
Hmm.
Just want to make sure. So my vote would be yes.
Who else is out there?
What?
Anybody else out there that we could vote?
It's up there to vote.
you have to vote.
Right,
Say yes.
Howie says yes.
right, we're all yes.
Okay. Anybody?
I'm a
negative?
yes.
Okay, good, thank you. So I think it's unanimous. Miriam's got her hand up.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know if this is the right place, but I was just wondering at some point in the agenda, could we talk about the email I sent you?
Sure, let's, why don't you, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm just bringing this up because it has to do with the dam, and I'm sort of not exactly my Concom hat here. I'm sort of speaking in my ECAC hat because I'm on the Energy and Climate Action Committee, which is this advisory committee that was developing recommendations for the select board around energy and climate action. And so it's kind of like two different pots of policies. One I'm doing with perhaps energy independence, energy resilience, green energy, and then the other one is around, hazard mitigation and the municipal vulnerability plan, and trying to pull out of those two plans recommendations and projects that we could recommend to the select board. And one of the questions has come up about whether we should be thinking about a new, I'm sorry, something's catching my throat. A new MVP plan project. There was a MVP grant application submitted by the town last spring of 2022 for road maintenance and stormwater issues, and that was denied. What I've been told is, you know, with the MVP program, that you kind of have to kind of keep applying, and sooner or later they will say, oh, it's time to give some money to that town, you know, because they're divvying up the pot. So you have to persist. But one of the issues is that I've been told that MVP program really likes funding dam repairs. And wondering whether, you know, we should be, as a town, looking at how to develop a grant application, since it's a big ticket item and might take a while to do the grant development. But I think ECAC would be interested in coming up with that proposal to give to the select board of a specific grant application topic. And I'm just sort of bringing this to LWAC because it might be a collaborative effort, and that's what I'm doing.
Comment?
That may be a good way to fund, if, you know, if there's no other projects for that, to fund the sluice way, the outboard or downstream sluice way, you know, resealing all that up, which ended up being kind of a, you know, we were looking at, that might be like a $10,000 to $15,000 project back when we were looking at it. I think a lot of the smaller stuff we were able to, you know, do ourselves or whatever, but which was Morris was supposed to come out and we discuss in the good weather when we could still do it. But that sluiceway sealing, which was never probably done correctly, might be a good project for that too.
Yeah,
When I was at a meeting with you guys back in, I don't know when it was, maybe June or July, I can't remember exactly. It seemed like there was some discussion about the need for the injection grouting for the leaking, which, and maybe also a replacement for the trash racks, so that they're easier to maintain.
That's correct, Mary. The big, the trash track is one issue, but really the big one here is the repair, the injection grouting, which we refer to as to repair the leak around the sluiceway that Walter just mentioned. So I think the idea here is that I think it's a great idea, Miriam, and I think I support the idea of working with the energy group to apply for a grant. The issue one is of timing, in that we really need a new inspection report. And in that inspection report, unless the old inspection report has those details of what needs to be done, or the new inspection report would then, you know, detail what maintenance and repairs are needed. And then we go out and get a quote and quotes or bids, and then we can apply for MVP grants. That sound like the approach that would be taken.
Could I get copies of the most recent inspection report? Could somebody email me one?
We would be glad to send you one, but we don't have one.
Yeah, no, I mean, whatever the most recent one, sounds like maybe from 2016 or is that, or 2018? I don't know when.
2018 should be the last one we have. I will have to get permission to go up to the fire station and go through that computer to see if we have it electronically. I know it would be there in paper form. I'll have to see if there is a copy of it electronically. And if so, then we can get it to you.
Great. Well, yeah, I imagine we might have to have an update and up-to-date inspection, so that may be the thing that slows the whole process down, is getting all of that up to date.
Can you just send that to the whole committee here? Is that okay, Walter?
Yeah, it's public documents, so there's
Oh, yeah,
nothing,
yeah, yeah.
nothing proprietary about it or anything about it. So yeah,
No,
I can send it to everyone if I can find that. I know I have the 2016 electronically, but the 18, I'm not sure if we do or not. But if there is, I'll send it to everyone. Keep in mind at that point, that's 4 years ago. So a lot can happen in 4 years. So a new one would be really nice.
Walter, did you mention that the Office of Dam Safety is requiring us to have the report completed by the end of January?
That's what he said. Now, I am not sure if that means the last report that was supposed to have been done or the one that was supposed to have been done in November. I know he hasn't been out and he did not do an inspection in November. I highly doubt it because that means he, if he could come up and do that, he should have been able to meet with us and all that. And there was no communication about any of that. So the way he said it was that they are reminding everyone that required inspections with a request to submit reports by the end of January. And I would take that as, we needed an inspection done in November and that report should be in by January. We're looking to get the report from 2020 in by January, hopefully. I think that's, a little late. So that I'm just going by what he said. If we have gotten a letter recently, again, that goes to the emergency management director and the fire department. So I wouldn't have seen it. So I'm not privy to that anymore. We need to talk to Lenny about that, or possibly Kristen, who is now kind of taking over some of those responsibilities, but I don't think she would have seen that letter either. So I think we need to, contact I'll contact Lenny, the new fire chief, and see if he's gotten those letters or not. But it seems to me if they're due every 2 years for our dam and they're reminding us of the inspection and the report should be in by January, if they're doing that now, that means that's this year's report, not 2 years ago's report. So hopefully he will get it done and into them. As he had said, he notified, it says, I notified Office of Dam Safety, the visual inspection has been completed and the report will be submitted as requested. But he has to be talking about the 2020 inspection, not the 2022 inspection. I may be wrong, but that's how I take it.
Seems obvious.
Second point. He wants to give it up on points.
Okay,
Well, it sounds,
Howard, was that a comment?
I was just going to say, it sounds like once we need some little clarification here that if Walter's going to talk to Morris, I mean, whatever, we should just get some of these things clarified as to what we really need.
Walter, are you?
The requirement for a high hazard dam, which Lake Wyola Dam is, not because of its condition, but because of the impact if it were to fail, requires that it has an inspection every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was every 3 years, that would mean if the last one I have is 2016, it'd be 2019, 2022. It means there still should have been an inspection either way done this year, this November, this month here. So we're still in November. It should have been happening this month. So unless he's planning on coming down next week, and he didn't mention that in his thing, or he snuck down here and did a quick visual inspection, which I think he still would have notified us of doing. His comment is referring to the 2020 inspection. I have it wrong and maybe he missed the 2020 and did a 2021, but I do not believe it was last year that he did the inspection, because we've been trying to get this report for over a year. So, well over a year. My most educated guess would be that he did the 2020 inspection. The report that he's promising us is for the 2020 inspection, and we are required to have a 2022 inspection done, and that report should be filed by January of next year, in 2 months. We haven't even had an inspection or don't have anybody scheduled for one, so I don't think we're going to make that deadline, to be honest.
Sounds like we have two action items here. One is for Walter to try to get a copy of the last report, circulate it to the group, or send it to me and I can circulate it to the group. And the second item, I think we should try to get on the select board agenda to have this an open discussion and make a plan to move forward with another company for our next inspection report. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
And Eric, can you get us on the select board agenda at some point?
Yeah, once we know when we want to do it. I know, I believe there's a meeting, when is the next meeting? Probably that's 22nd. I'd probably be in December at some point, but yes, I guess thing to do is when we're ready to actually meet with them. Sounds like Walter should clarify with Morris what's the story. I mean, does he really want to get out of this deal? Assuming he does, then we should have a meeting with the select board, because something would have to happen. So I guess with that, the first thing is just Walter's clarification of what's going on. Does that make sense?
From my perspective, I think we should just, we'll continue to try to get the report from Morris, but it doesn't make any sense to go forward with him and the next inspection report, because he's not doing it.
Right.
And we just now voted to replace it, or to recommend replacing him.
Okay, I'll try to get it on the agenda for I think that would be December 6th, I believe. If I'm reading my calendar correctly. Yes. I'll try to get it on the December 6th agenda. And Mark, I can let you know if that's happening, and you can pass it on, or if we all want to be there or whatever.
Good. I think that's
I think we should move forward with that and see if there's somebody else that can do it. And then we can the town can let him know that while he still needs to fulfill his duties of getting the report in, that we have, contracted services of another engineer for this year's inspection, because I mean, he's not even planning on getting the report done till at least now or after the report for this year's inspection, which we haven't even had done yet, is due. And I don't foresee things changing or getting any better.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. His name's Morris, right? I'm just so I can get the right thing.
Morris, last name Root, ROOT. His company is Root Engineering.
Okay. I will try to get that on the agenda, and I'll let Mark know, or if it is and when it is. Okay.
Any other comments from anyone on the dam?
In the meantime, I can still contact Morris and ask him if he's, if it would benefit him if we look for somebody else, or I can just tell him my feeling is that the town is looking for somebody else because, he hasn't been able to fulfill his duties, or I can just not say anything. I'll follow whatever this committee or the select board wants me to do.
Yeah, I think we just want to know what his, what are his current plans? The report he's giving you is for what year?
All right.
And that's really all we need to know is what, when here's all the letter you read, like what report is he talking about getting done by January and so forth?
Right. Okay.
And I
will-
think we can decide as this, then I think, we can talk on that at the select board meeting on the 6th, hopefully about, I mean, I agree. I think we just, replace him basically. It's not like he's the only guy in the world that can look at the dam.
Right. Okay. I will do that. I will contact him and get it, clarification on his email here and go from there.
Cool.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody on the dam inspection / dam repair process? Okay, we're up to the last item here of items that not recently anticipated prior to the meeting. Are there any other issues that we want to discuss or someone wants to bring up? Okay. I think with that, I think we can close the meeting. If we're going to have a meeting in December, it would be December 17th. What's everyone's thoughts about that? A lot of times we didn't have, many years we didn't have a December meeting, but because of the dam, safety issues, it's worthwhile to have a quick meeting just to go over where we are with dam inspection reporting, and that's okay with everybody. What's everyone's thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. Be nice to know where this Morris Roots Select Board, all that business is. That even if it's only that, just so that we're all stay on top of it.
Okay, so our next meeting will be December 17th at 9 o'clock. It's like this. Except I'll be home.
I think we lost the town hall again, by the way.
You're right. That means that we always lose them twice.
I know. Houston, I think we have a problem.
Well, I was hoping that we would change the time when the backup generator tested itself. It's all automated. And if it did it at 8 o'clock, that'd be great. I asked Becky to look into it, but I guess it didn't happen yet.
Yeah.
It's really just changing the time on the generator. I don't know who's responsible for, that backup generator.
Well, right now, the contracted service is Pechoric Electric. And he's the one that's doing all of that. I would think that it'd be very simple for him to come up and do. The other alternative is going to charge a fair amount of money, and just come up and do that service call. I'm not sure when the next service is due on that, but that might be a while because he does it twice a year. The other thing is I can look into the manual. That's a different controller than we had at the fire station, but I could look into the instructions and see it shouldn't be too complicated to be able to reset that timer and have it go at a different time.
Or we could meet at a different time.
This is a great time to meet for me.
It's a good time to meet. I don't think we should be changing our things just because of the timer on the generator. So one way or the other, we should get that changed.
Yeah, we used to have a generator at work, and it would take 2 minutes to change it. Maybe this generator is different, but
I don't.
Yeah.
Once you know how to do it, it should take only a couple minutes to do it. Just go in a couple buttons and reset it.
Exactly.
So. All right, I can just save the town money once again. I can go up there and take a look at it and see if we can get it reprogrammed. I'll talk to Becky first just to make sure she hasn't contracted or contacted Pechoric to have him come up and do it. But if she hasn't, we can look into just changing it and get it done. Because it's very inconvenient to keep losing our meeting twice during the meeting.
If that's even the reason, we don't even know. I thought this had all been done, so maybe there was another reason we've been losing people.
Well, it's exercising at this time. Everything's on a UPS, but for some, or it seems like everything's on the UPS, but for some reason, I don't know if the router is so sensitive that the couple milliseconds it takes for the UPS to kick in is not a short enough time for the router. The router may be very sensitive, so that little interruption knocks it off. I'm not sure. We did the test last month when we were there, and it didn't seem like the lights went out on the router. It didn't seem like it changed anything, but we still lost everything. So I'm not sure wherein that is, if it's in the power to not so much the router, but was it the OIN or whatever, the interface box? If that's not on a battery backup, maybe that's where we're losing it. I'm not sure, but if we just change the generator, we don't have to worry about it.
In today's case, I would point out we've lost the town hall a couple of times at different times. So I'm not sure that that was one of the reasons I was wondering if it was the generator issue.
It feels like that it's that from here, and it was out for exactly 40 minutes, or it was 40 minutes when it went out the first time, 9:18, and then there was a change at 9:58. And I thought it was the generator, right? The test, right? The generator came on to run its test at 9:18 and then switched back to regular power at 9:58.
Well, there may have been a miscommunication then, because I don't think those clocks automatically change for daylight savings time. So maybe he came out and changed the clock for the daylight savings time. Ooh. And did not change the time it exercised. That may be that may be what happened right there.
Yeah. Oh.
Because I know the one at the fire station, it didn't automatically change. So half the year it started at 10, half the year it started at 9. But if it's starting at the same time, he probably came out and reset the clock, but reset it for the Eastern Standard Time and didn't change the time that it exercised. And that may have been a miscommunication. That's just an assumption, because if it started at the same time and ended at the same time, and we've changed the clocks, that would be my assumption that that's what happened. Or he changed it before the time change, and now with the time change, it's back at 9 o'clock. I don't know. One or the other.
Right.
Historically, before we put the router on UPS, we would lose connection twice. Once when a generator came on and once when it came off. And when we put it on when we attached the UPS, it had no effect. So it's still bouncing the town hall off twice. Okay. That'd be great, Walter, if you can look into that, or just contact Becky and see where things are.
Yeah, I'll try to do that first thing on this week.
Any other items?
Did you say any new items?
Yep.
I have one, yes. As you know, there are problems with beavers in Fisk Brook, again, damming up the culvert. And the town has been asked by the Conservation Commission, I believe, to get a professional consultation with Mike Callahan about possible solutions there. And Mike Callahan charges $245, I believe. And I thought that perhaps we could pay for that out of our budget. We have plenty of money for that.
I'm fine with that. Any comments from anybody? Anybody against the idea of spending $245 for a consultant to discuss the beaver maintenance control problem? The beaver dam control problem.
Sounds good to me.
Catherine, who takes the lead in that?
Pardon me?
Who would take the lead? Who would contact the consultant?
Good question. I'll talk with Becky and Tim about organizing it. And then they can just send the bill to our committee.
Okay, great. Anyone object to this approach?
December 17th. Visit REITs across America.
In your medicine cabinet.
John, Corey,
The number one cultural program. Sactans love Sactans unique think formula.
Whoa. He had the TV on.
Okay, I think that's, the end of the meeting.
Which is under 18 of the
John Gorey, you need to mute your microphone.
I'm going to call my name.
I believe the meeting host could do that also.
Let me see.
Oh, I understand. I'm
Just
not the host.
click on his box and then you should be able to do it. Think.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
So with that, can we close the meeting?
It's okay with me.
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
thank you everyone for attending. And, Art, were you waving goodbye or did you have your hand up?
I'm waving goodbye.
Okay.
Bye.
Hi. All right, thank you everyone for attending, and we'll be in touch. Take care.
Take care.
Okay, how do we end the meeting here?
Catherine, you click at the bottom right hand or the bottom right hand corner of the screen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was his last thing.
No, that's not one of the choices. I'm just going to close the window and I think that'll end the meeting.
Thank you very much for.
Here we go. Right. Okay. Ending
Mark.
meeting for all. Bye.